Hi, you're listening to Smoke Signals. This is episode 3. Real talk, real cigars, totally unscripted. You can check this out on YouTube and coming soon to iTunes. I'm your host, Chuck. And always, I'm joined by my co-host, El Jefe Barbaro, the Domino Grand Master, the Godfather, Pierre. What's up, Pierre? How you doing today?
What's going on, Chuck?
Cool. You ready for the show?
I'm ready.
Awesome. And of course, we have the man behind the curtain, the man who edits out all the time as I laugh at my own jokes. Mr. I'll fix it in post because you're not talking loud enough. Faz.
What's up, guys? How's it going today?
How you doing,
What's
Faz?
going on, Faz?
Cool. We have a great show set up for you today. We're going to dig into our featured cigar. We're going to talk about segments. We're going to get into our email bag. So, without any further ado, let's light it. All right, so first, we're going to turn over to Pierre. He's going to introduce this week's cigar. Pierre, what do you have for us?
This week, Chuck, we're going to be smoking the Herrera Esteli. It's by Drew Estates. It's a Lancero limited edition by Mr. Willie Herrera, who is Drew Estates' master blender. The ring size is a 38. The length is about 7 inches. Nicaraguan filler, Brazilian binder, Connecticut broadleaf wrapper. It's a full-bodied cigar. So we're going to cut this cigar and get into it.
Excellent. I already got mine cut. I used the guillotine cut, and I'm already hitting it cold draw a couple times, and I'm liking it. Tell us a little bit more about it.
So I'm tasting something on the cold draw. I'm not quite sure what it is, but something definitely is there. What do you think?
Same here. I'm really trying to I am getting some flavors, but I guess my palate isn't mature enough to really identify it on the flavor wheel. But I know one thing. I can't wait to light it. How about you, Faz?
Okay, well, I can tell you right off the bat, the cold draw for me is I'm definitely tasting cocoa.
Okay.
Definitely a chocolate hint to the cold draw on this.
I could see that. I wasn't sure about it, but
Absolutely.
I could see that, definitely.
Awesome. So we're going to get these lit, and while we're lighting, we'll take a moment out to get a word from our sponsor.
So we get a
Excellent. I just finished toasting and lighting the cigar, and my initial impressions are very good, very smooth draw, a lot of output. I really like Lanceros because you get cool smoke. Because it's such a long cigar, you're getting a cooler draw. What's your first impressions?
The first impression on the cigar was amazing. I can't quite describe the flavors or the notes, but it was just really good. A good opener. What you think, Faz?
Well, I agree with you guys. It's a great smoke right off the bat. Easy draw. You're definitely getting a lot of smoke out of it. I'm getting a little bit of pepper right off the bat, though. I don't know if you guys are picking that up. Really mild, though.
Sure.
Nothing overpowering, but definitely a little bit of pepper.
You sure it's not a little butane off of that light?
Nah.
Okay. All right. And we'll get into that. So, actually, that kind of is a good segue into our next segment, which is Cut and Light. Cut and Light. That's going to be our segment, the name of this segment. And what we're going to talk about is, let's start out with cutters. There's different ways to cut your cigar. We understand you have a punch, you have a V cut, you have a deep V cut, you have a guillotine, scissors. What are some of the ways you prefer to, Pierre, you like to cut your cigar? How did you cut this one?
This was a guillotine cut. I personally prefer the deep V. I think it allows the cigar to breathe, draw very well. Deep V for me.
How about you, Faz?
Okay. For me, I mean, for this one I used the guillotine, but for me the cut really depends on the size of the cigar.
Okay.
For Lanceros, I definitely prefer a guillotine cut over a V. I think a V, there's not enough cigar there to really enhance the V cut the way it's supposed to.
Right.
So I prefer a straight cut on something like this.
Okay. So speaking of different cuts for different types of cigars. What are some cigars you prefer a punch on?
I don't like the punch at all. I was always taught that the punch tends to cause buildup around the cap of the cigar, tar buildup. So I always stayed away from the punch.
That's interesting. I heard that. I do prefer a punch every now and then, and where I prefer a punch is when I'm smoking infused cigars. Believe it or not, if you take something like a Java Mint and you put it like a 7 millimeter punch in it, you get more of that flavor on the wrapper rather than cutting it off. So you get that extra flavor that's on the cap by using a punch. But I have heard if you're smoking it too fast, or if you get a lot of heat buildup, you can get some tar buildup. But a lot of people prefer that laser precision on the draw rather than have a wider guillotine. So
Yeah, I mean, I agree a little bit. I do like a punch cut, but again, it depends on the size of the cigar. But I've also had issues with a straight cut and getting tar buildup. It really depends on how much oil there is in the tobacco for the cigar that you're smoking at that time as to whether you're really going to get a buildup or not. I don't think it really has that much to do with the cut itself.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. The other type we didn't really get a chance to talk about was, we said V and we said deep V. So there's two types of Vs. Anybody? Any comments on that?
I prefer deep V.
You prefer a deep V? Indeed, indeed.
I don't think I want to go there.
Don't we all? Don't we all? So there's different types of V cutters out there. One of the deep, what we're calling and referring to as a deep V, is Colibri makes a V cut, and the angle on that V is a lot deeper. So you get a little deeper into the cap, and it gives you a nice sharp cat eye, and a lot of people prefer that over the wider V cuts that are more flat.
Now, have either of you guys ever used a scissor cut on a cigar?
Yes.
I don't care for it personally. I have just my experience in the past is it tends to destroy the cap more than it does actually cut it. Whether the thing is brand new or whether it's been used for 10 years. I just never can get a decent cut with a scissor cut.
Yeah,
What do
there's
you
a
think?
trick to the V cut. Usually I never get it done in one cut. I'll cut it and then I can see it squishing the cigar, squishing the cap, and like leaving the opposite side a little left. So I'll trim it up a little bit. So I cut it and then kind of trim it up and kind of clean it up a little bit.
Well, Chuck, you did say scissors, not V.
Did I say V?
You did. But well, that's okay.
All right,
But
you know
that's
what I'm
okay.
talking about.
We'll let you go on
I'm
that.
just
All right,
keeping you
okay,
on course
all right.
over here, buddy.
Sound good.
Buddy, old pal.
Now, have you guys ever used one of the old style cutting machines? Did you ever see one of those?
No, I haven't.
Some cigar shops have them, like at the front desk where there's like a public cutting and lighting station. It's a box with a bunch of holes in it. You put your cigar in the hole, you pull the handle down, and it cuts it off for you. And there's different sizes for different cigars. Most of it's a straight cut.
Right. So for me,
But-
that falls in my list of do nots.
Exactly.
Do not use the public cutter. A lot of times,
There are issues.
people get their cigar, first thing they do is put it in their mouth. Some people like to wet the cap a little bit so that they don't get a cigar that's going to crack on them while they're trying to cut it. So I don't know. That's in my don'ts. I stay away from the public cutter.
I agree with you there 100%.
Yeah, I don't mess with the cut table either.
Got it. All right, so I'm enjoying this right now. I got a nice ash. How about you guys?
Well, I had a nice ash on it, but I just plucked mine off. But looks like a pretty good burn line on here.
Mm-hmm.
Smoking pretty decent. The draw is great.
Mm-hmm.
What you think, Fast?
Yeah, I got about 1/4 of an inch ash on here right now. Kind of smoking a little slow because I'm paying attention to our recording as we're going along here. But it's a perfect burn. I mean, I have no issues going on here whatsoever. It's absolutely phenomenal.
You guys hitting any notes in the cigars yet?
Not really for me, but I did try retrohale a couple times, and it is giving me more complexity on the retrohale. It's complex, but I really can't put a flavor on it just yet.
No, me neither.
It's creamy. I'm getting like it's real creamy and smooth. Again, I'm not really getting the notes. I agree with Faz on that cold draw though, with the the cocoa, but it's a real creamy, smooth cigar. And I'm not really getting full body from it. How about you, Faz?
No, it's definitely not full body. It's definitely a milder smoke. I mean, I wouldn't say it's low end mild. I would put this in a medium cigar range, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely on the medium side.
It's listed as a full body cigar.
really,
Yeah,
see how it goes a little further in.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe it'll change up on us. So, speaking of that excellent burn line, look at that. That's beautiful. Audience, you can't see this until we go on video. But excellent burn line. Nice, tight, white ash on it. That kind of brings us into the next thing we want to talk about, lighting your cigar. Now, there's different types of lighters out there, and that makes it fun. You have your torches, and they come in various sizes, single flame, double flame, triple flame, quadruple flame.
Mm-hmm.
I even saw 5 flame out there, believe it or not. And then that's your torches. And then you have matches. And then you have different ways you can kind of use those matches. You can use a cedar spill. What are your thoughts about different ways you like to light your cigars?
I mean, for me, my go-to is a soft flame, butane lighter, but a soft flame over a torch. Although if I'm smoking outside, a torch is almost a must because you can almost never keep a soft flame lit long enough to actually get the cigar lit properly. But indoors, definitely a soft flame. And the main reason for me is sometimes if you're not careful with a torch, you can burn the tobacco at the end of the cigar,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get a little bitter flavor right off the bat. And
Right,
that's a turn off right from the start.
right,
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, I kind of prefer a torch. Well, actually, I do prefer a soft flame, but I don't own a soft flame butane lighter. But I prefer like a single jet torch. It kind of, I can kind of direct it to the spot that I need it to hit. I think the threes and the fours, it kind of cooks the cigar, like the wrapper, especially with like a Lancero or something, like those bigger jet lighters. They tend to like bake the cigar around. Like I just want to hit that center spot,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I prefer the single jet
Mm-hmm.
butane. But I do enjoy using the cedar because when you use the cedar, you get that cedar. Once that cedar burns and it starts to smoke and it goes up into the tobacco, I really do enjoy that as well.
Indeed, indeed. For me, I think I'm a torch guy only because of the convenience of having a torch, and I like to collect them, and I have dozens of lighters. It's kind of all part of the fun of smoking cigars. So I have a bunch of them, and I kind of use them for different reasons. So my go-to is a single flame for a lot of reasons that Pierre mentioned, and especially if I'm going into a ash contest. I made the mistake of entering an longest ash contest, and I lit it with a huge quadruple flame torch, and I just didn't get the burn line right, I was doomed from the start. So a lot of times I like the precision of a single torch. However, sometimes on the bigger ring gauges, it can be a lot of work to kind of get it toasted right and get it started. So single torch for me for the most part.
So, what do you guys think about some of the so-called cigar snobs that are out there that talk about only lighting a cigar with a match and nothing but a match?
I could. I mean, that's old school, and sometimes you got to use technology where you can. I like to light with a match every now and then, but sometimes I'm ready to get started. So sometimes I don't like I don't have the patience sometimes and I like to toast it, and it's kind of you just have to be a little more patient. For me, I want to get to it. So
Yeah, for me, using these torches convenient, and I don't knock the guys that enjoy using matchsticks. To each his own. I enjoy using matches as well.
I learned this really cool trick, right? So if you've ever seen cigars that have the cedar wrap on them,
Mm-hmm.
so it has a label, and then they're like the
Fuentes.
halfway down. Fuente has one. So neat trick that I learned was to actually take that cedar sleeve off, roll it, and light that, and that's your cedar spill. So you make sure you take off the tape and the ribbon, but that's a nice little trick. That next time I grab one of those cigars, I'm gonna give it a try. So that kind of brings us in. So again, we're gonna check in with our sponsors. Well, thanks, guys. That's good information. For our listeners, if you have any tips or tricks how you prefer to light and cut your cigars, send us an email. We would love to hear from you. We are at smokesignals161@gmail.com. So hit us up and let us know. All right, now it's time to check in with the cigar again. I'm about two-thirds in. More like 1/3 in.
So what you guys thinking about the cigar? How you feel? How you feeling out there?
I'm loving it. I like the output on the cigar. Still haven't given it a flavor just yet, but I'm loving it.
Output is great. I haven't relit it since. I don't think Faz has either.
I don't know. Maybe I'm
No.
partial to Herrera. Maybe since I got a chance to hang out with him and play dominoes with him, and I'm a big fan of his other blends, particularly the Norteño. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I'm loving it right now. This is definitely something I'm going to definitely add to the rotation.
I mean, I'm really liking the cigar. It's definitely gotten stronger as I've gotten into it. I can't quite put my finger on the flavor profile though. I can't make out certain notes in this one. Unlike I did off the cold draw, I'm just not quite putting my finger on it.
How you feel about the construction of the cigar?
Oh, the construction's phenomenal. I mean, I'm a Lancero fan to start with.
Me too.
So, and this one's always one of my top go-tos.
Okay.
So speaking of that, Lancero fan, what makes you guys Lancero fans?
Well, for me, a Lancero is a great way to really get a good sampling of what the cigar was meant to taste like. It's a much more difficult cigar to roll because you have a much larger wrapper leaf to deal with, but your ratio of filler, binder, and wrapper is really, really close in this. It's almost pretty equal when you go to a Lancero because of the small size.
Mm-hmm.
So you really get a really nice flavor profile for what the factory and the roller and the blenders were actually trying to go for.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I like the ring gauge. I mean, it feels comfortable in my hand. It just feels natural. It's not too big.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it for all those same reasons. I think Lancero's got a bad rap, and I think they're making a big comeback. I think the bad rap was that they were too small or that they were very petite, but I think they're making a comeback just for those reasons. They put a lot of time and energy into that wrapper leaf, and if you're getting more wrapper in the profile of the cigar, just like Faz was saying, you kind of get a kind of insight to what the blender had in mind. So.
Yeah, and from a smoking standpoint, they're a little different than some of the larger ring gauge cigars because you really do have to puff on them on a regular basis, or Lanceros have a tendency to go out on you. So sometimes they do require an additional relight or two over their counterpart cigars. So some people don't like it just for that reason.
A smaller cherry, right?
So how you guys feel about the value of the cigar? The cigar is listed at about $12 a stick, and it's probably about $150 some a box. You think it's box worthy? Well,
Yeah.
First of all, do you think the value of the cigar is there?
Oh, I think the value is definitely there. Definitely.
Chuck?
It's definitely a box-worthy cigar for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I would put this in the a 5-pack. Not necessarily a box, but it's probably a little on the high side for me. I try to be a little more economical.
You
when
can say
comes
it
to-
cheap.
Yeah, cheap. All right, cheap. So I'm gonna go with the 5-packer on this one, and maybe a box split. Yeah, that's it. A box split. That's what I would do.
For me, I think it's definitely worth $12. It's not as quite as full as an L40
True.
as far as strength, but it's a good stick, and I would definitely spend the money to buy the box. I think it's a box of 15, if you can get your hands on them, that is.
That's the hard part.
Because it is a limited edition.
But Willie, great job, brother.
Awesome. So let's get into our mailbag. And today, mailbag, our questions sent in by our listeners. Hit us up at smokesignals161@gmail.com. This week's question comes from Bob, Jersey City, New Jersey. Shout out to Bob.
What's up, Bob?
Thank you for listening. Bob's question is, and it kind of ties into the episode, as what is your favorite cigar accessory? Now, I'm going to put a little extra on it. If you were on a desert island and there was a box of cigars, and there were a lot of boxes of cigars, what accessory would you want to have with you?
Well, for me, I think it would be my Zycar, and it's the mag light with the cutter, the 2-in-1 combination, the cut and lighter, and it's magnetic, and the cutter's attached to the lighter. It's a single jet butane torch. I love that lighter and cutter, and I think I would want to have that with me.
Okay, that's cool. Let me add a little more extra when we throw it to Faz. Faz, you're on a factory tour, Drew Estates, let's say. You walk into the Liga Privada aging room. You get locked in, and you're going to be there for a couple days because they just forgot about you. What cigar accessory would you want to have with you?
Well, pity on them because they're going to lose a lot of product if I'm in there that long. But come on, I mean, that's easy. If I'm going to be stuck in a situation like that, you better have a lighter on you because I could always bite the cap off. Yeah. I don't need the cutter. We could always go old school there.
Definitely. I would want a lighter with I think the Vertigo Intimidator is the one I would go with in this particular scenario. It's a big tank on it, so I can light a lot of cigars with it. I don't have to worry about running out. And like you said, I don't need the combo to cut it. I would figure something out. I would bite, whatever, and I would get to work. So that would be my cigar accessory if I were either stranded on an island or locked into an aging room. And that's what I would want to have with me. Awesome. So thanks again, Trip. Not Trip. Trip was last week. Bob from Jersey City. Thank you for your call. Again, listeners, hit us up, smokesignals161@gmail.com. So we're going to wrap it up. Any final notes and commentary on our cigar of the week?
I'm starting to pick up the pepper fast.
Yeah.
As I'm getting through this cigar.
It's a little there. It's not like overpowering, but you can definitely pick up a little bit of it.
Yeah, just a little bit. It's not overwhelmingly peppery. What would you guys rate this cigar on a scale of 1 to 10?
For me, this falls somewhere probably in the 7 to 8 range.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say 7, 8 too myself.
Yeah, I would give it like a 7, or I would probably give it an 8. I'd give it an extra point because it's by Willie. Some extra points because it's a Lancero and limited edition. Kind of makes me feel special that I got my hands on it. So it must be something really nice, and it's proven to be.
Yeah, shout out to Greg for sending in the Willie Herrera Esteli
On the box split. Also, I'm a big smoke output guy, so I really like to smoke coming off of this cigar. I'm really not having any trouble with relights. I didn't have to relight it once, and I'm about halfway through the cigar. Kind of looking forward to kind of wrapping up this podcast so I can kind of pay attention to the what's left of it. Good stuff. I think this is a good solid 8.
Okay.
All right. So that kind of wraps up our podcast for today. So episode 3 in the books. I want to thank.
Hold on, Chuck. Hold on.
Whoa. Go ahead.
Hold on. Back up. We forgot to talk about the next week's guest.
Oh, yes.
Champions of the Domino tournament.
That's right. The Domino tournament here at the lounge has finally concluded. Shout out to the winning team. And the team was
Cal and Jason.
Yes, Cal and Jason. You might remember Jason. He was a guest on our very first episode. And that lucky motherfucker actually ended up winning. You believe that?
Shout out to Cal for carrying a 250-pound backpack.
Yes, they were able to beat the odds in our double elimination tournament. I think we had how many teams in that tournament?
24, I think it
Yeah,
was.
12 teams.
12 teams. And
24.
double elimination. Like I said, me and my partner, we were eliminated very early. But we want to shout out the title. But we'll talk about that later. So we're going to have Jason and Cal on our next episode to talk about their winning strategy, talk a little trash, do their victory lap, and have a little fun. Talk, maybe get it deeper into our domino discussions. So look forward to that. We're also going to be talking about we got some really good topics lined up for this season of Smoke Signals, and really looking forward to getting it in with you guys. So thank you for listening. So any final comments from the crew?
I just want to shout out Willie Herrera for making this beautiful Herrera Esteli Lancero. Willie will be joining us August at the Cigar Mojo. Come on out and check him out and get some of the specials. We'll also be doing our Father's Day podcast next week. So make sure you guys tune in and check us out.
Paz, do you have any final questions?
Nope, I'm good.
Questions, comments, concerns, anything? Awesome. Well, I want to shout out Cigar Mojo and its members for letting us record the podcast there. Check them out, 161 West Cal Pike, King Prussia. And thank you for the Cigar of the Week, the Herrera Esteli by Drew Estate. And remember, a reminder, please send in your questions to smokesignals161@gmail.com. Stay smoky. Say goodbye, Faz.
Bye.